Did you guys know that we celebrate the Sexual Assault Awareness Month in April? April. So basically, in this video, I'm gonna suggest you guys about 5 books that I have selected for you guys to read this month, because well, this month is all about awareness about sexual assault, and there are so many people around us who goes through that, who have been through it, and they need their voice to speak out. Some of them are afraid that people might judge them. Some of them are afraid that their predator might very well just escape this whole shit and they would be in trouble. So it's very well time that we normalize a lot of stuff and stop blaming the victim for whatever has happened to them. So in today's video, I'm gonna recommend you guys the 5 books that I think covers a lot of stuff about this moment, this awareness month that we are currently in. So without any further ado, I'll quickly start the video. So the very first book that I have in my today's list is Shout by Lauren Anderson. This book is basically written in 3 words. It's autobiographical in nature, and in this book the author basically talks about how when someone is sexually assaulted, it's their family, usually the victim's family and friends, are the one who usually judge them the most, try to silence their voice and ask them to just let it be. And it's high time that we stop doing that. And I saw this book recommended in so many different websites that I couldn't stop myself from reading it, and after reading it, I think I got to learn so many new things about this whole thing. I'm not used to reading this kind of books, so I think it was a very heavy read, and at the same time I think it was enlightening, and do give it a read. It's totally worth it. The next book that I have in my recommendation is a fiction. It's The Fall of Innocence by Jenny Torres. So this book is basically about a 16-year-old Amelia who has been assaulted when she was a child, and how traumatized that has left her. And the real trauma comes as even a blunter force when she identifies her assaulter, and this gets even worse. I think when I was going through all the reviews of this book, one thing that I found was that many people have shared their own experiences in those reviews, and that kind of just broke my heart, that how so many teenagers around the world are being assaulted, and they don't even get to acknowledge that their childhood, their innocence is taken away so suddenly from them. So I think this book is really gut-wrenching, and you should give it a read if you are looking for something that will take you more through the feeling of the victim. So do give it a read. So the next book that I have in my list of today's recommendation is Take It As a Compliment by Maria Stoyan. So this is basically a graphic novel, and the reason I chose this book is basically, first of all, I really loved the review that I saw. Then when I actually got my hands on it, I just couldn't stop reading. The worst part was, I think when someone reads this, you will kind of feel like even you as a whole are somehow responsible for the assaults that happening. And I think this book was deeply psychological, and at the same time it was a comic, so it is playing a very huge role in leading voices to the ones who are afraid to speak out loud in public. It was just 100 pages long, yet I think this is so worth taking your time for. So do check it out, and I think you should check it out. The book that I'm gonna suggest next is Hunger by Roxane Gay. She is totally one of my favorite writer when it comes to writing about sex, sexuality, about feminism, and about all those deep diving concepts that people usually don't really talk about. I think it is usually the boldness of her writing that usually gets me. So in this book, she has dived into sexuality and how it is so how these intimate acts can be so sensitive for people, and how little bit of violence or sexual assault can be so dangerous or can affect a teen or a preteen so adversely that it changes their image of their body. They start to hate themselves, they start to not look after themselves and look at their body as something very cursed. And I love the way she has dived into this topic, and this book is even somehow autobiographical in nature. So I think it takes a lot of courage when you have to talk about such a thing from your life. So I think this one is totally worth reading if you are looking for something very real and much of a mature content. So give it a read. A book that I have to suggest next is yet again autobiographical in nature, and this one is This Will Only Hurt a Little by Busy Phillips. So we all know Busy Phillips as that sweet, sassy actress from Hollywood, and when I was going through some samples of this book and I was reading some few chapters, I just saw a different side of her than what she show in her Instagram stories. So it was a completely different experience at one point. But another reason I chose this book for was because after reading all those sad side, the victimized side of sexual assault, this book talks about sexual assault, and even after everything, how you should love yourself. You should never stop believing in yourself just because something bad happened to you. You should not do self-pity because that's others' work to do. No matter how bad things get, just try to get up on your feet and win the world over. Everyone knows, and we know it's not easy when you are talking about such a sensitive topic, but at the same time you need to stand up for yourself, because until you do, no one else is gonna do it for yourself. So if you think that this is a side you would like to explore, then I would seriously suggest you to go purchase this book and give it a read. So for me, I think this video felt weirdly uncomfortable while I'm shooting this, and the reason being is I don't know which part is sensitive, how I should really approach this subject. Even while I'm talking about the books that are already written, about the content that are already present, it's still a very sensitive topic to talk about. I do not mean to offend anyone in any way. I stand by you, I support you, and I still think you should come out talk. I know it's easier said than done, but this is all I can say. And sorry if I offended you in any way. I do not mean in any way to make fun of anyone or anything. So I think this would be it from my side, guys. If you like the video, then please click on the like button. If you are new to my channel, then don't forget to subscribe to it and hit the bell icon. Also drop down comments on the books that moved you about this topic. And this would be it from my side. This is Pooja signing off, and always remember to be consistently curious.